Hello friends, so in this video we're gonna see some mostly asked core Java questions, so which is asked in most of the interviews. So I'll cover only core Java part. So let's begin. So in core Java the most important topics are basically the first is collections. So if you are going to prepare for any interview, just make sure that you are good in at least collections. So start preparation from collection and then immutability, serialization, exception handling, and design pattern. These are the most important topics: solid principle, garbage collection, and multi-threading. So if you have experience of 5 6 year, then for multi-threading you can go for only basics. But if you are experienced guy, then you should know the depth of multi-threading. So let's go one by one. So in collection, the most important question which is asked is what is the difference between hash map, hash table, and concurrent hash map. See, I have a list and table for all these. So the major difference you can see here on the basis of property. So hash map allows null key but not other. Okay, in talking about thread shape, so hash map is not thread shape but its performance is fast. And the main difference, what interviewer will look for concurrent hash map is, is it related to locking mechanism. See, so in locking mechanism, hash table locks entire map, but concurrent hash map locks only the portion which is going to change. I mean, if a size of a hash map is 16, then there will be a 16 bucket, and each bucket can work as a separately. So modification in one bucket can happen, modification in two other bucket can happen with different threads. So this improves the performance. So you can note down this table. So now moving to next question. What is blocking queue and its usage? This, so there are multiple implementation classes of blocking queue like array blocking queue, delay queue, list blocking queue. Okay, so multiple blocking queue. But see so start with the definition. So a queue that additionally supports operation that wait for the queue to become non-empty. Okay, so this is important, non-empty. Okay, so queue, as you know, in which one from one side we can insert and other side the data can be pulled out. But the basic difference between normal queue and blocking queue is that it has a fixed length, and so in case of the size is full, so it's the other thread which is inserting into this blocking queue will have to wait. Okay, and while the same operation while at the time of retrieving, if the collection is empty, then it will wait, and that happens with the inbuilt methods that are provided. Okay, like poll and peek, these are the special operations for blocking queue. So this is a very tricky question for blocking queue. You should go all the implementation of blocking queue and provide at least couple of example like array blocking queue, linked list blocking queue, delay queue. So moving to next question. So what is producer consumer problem? So yeah, this is a very interesting question. The producer consumer problem, this happens mostly in multi-threading. See, so what is producer consumer problem? So the problem is similarly that is related to previous questions. So that is, so if there is a collection and in which some thread is inserting and another thread is retrieving, so there could be an issue that while inserting. So inserting thread will keep on adding even if the queue is full. Okay, and the consumer will keep retrieving even the queue is empty. So in that case, what will happen? This is the problem actually. So in order to get rid of this, we can use blocking queue. Okay, so blocking queue has a facility, so that will wait. Okay, wait if the queue is full and wait if the queue is empty. This is very interesting question. Okay, so very important as part of interview. So just be prepared for the answer. Next important question is what immutability. What is immutability concept in Java, and how we can create a immutable class? See, so like a string is also immutable class. So there are some properties like once we create a class, we cannot modify its value. We cannot change its value. This is called immutable class. Okay, and how we can create this? See, the class should be final. So there are a couple of properties. So out of those, one is class should be final, variable should be final and private, and the third one, there should not be any setter, only getter. Okay, so here we can see that there is a date field. So date is also mutable in nature. So in the get date time method at line number 18, so it would be great if you can say that in spite of returning date time, we can return new date time. Okay, so for all the mutable fields, we should return a new value. So next question is on serialization. So if you are going for any of the interview, so serialization is very important topic. So the basic is what is serialization and deserialization. So in a converting an operation of object to stream of byte is serialization. So I have seen many of the candidates what they said that conversion of object to byte code. So no, object conversion of from object to stream of byte. Okay, not bytecode. Bytecode is the compiler will do that task. Okay, so conversion of object to byte of strip, this is called serialization. And why we do serialization? Because once we convert that to stream of bytes, so we can send that byte to network. We can save that file in database. Okay, and what is deserialization? The reverse process of this operation is called deserialization. And there are some important sub questions for serialization. Okay, like what is serial version UID? So serial version UID, what is transient key? These two questions are related to the serialization. What is serial version UID? Serial version UID is a unique identifier for each class. So JVM uses it to compare the version of class, ensuring that the same class was used during serialization is loaded during deserialization. That means, so this is a kind of a stamping, the unique number for each of the class. Okay, so suppose you have converted one class into a stream of byte and you have saved in database. So while deserializing that stream of bytes to the object, okay, that the serial version will be matched in order to check the uniqueness, okay, and just to verify that we are the same stream of byte is transferred from from a stream of byte to object. And the second important question is what is transient variable? So transient variable, so suppose for any of the field you do not want to save, like for password we do not want to save password field, then we'll make that is as serialized. Okay, and the third important question, that is, can we serialize static members, static variable? So answer will be no, we cannot serialize static members because statics are class level variable. Okay, that will be available once we deserialize. Okay, but we that will not be saved in stream of byte or What is volatile keyword? So this is related to threads. Volatile keyword is used to modify the value of a variable by different thread. In case of multi-threading, if sharing is going on, like for counter, most of the time we use volatile keyword for counter. Okay, so count plus plus, we make that as volatile, so that for each of the thread this will be the same. Otherwise, if you want to make volatile, then there will be a separate copy of that counter variable in each of stack trace of each threads. So coming to design pattern, so the most important and the simplest design pattern, that is singleton design pattern. So in most of the interview for the no, for L1 round, first round, so you're gonna see this, what is singleton design pattern and what is factory design pattern, basic questions. So if you are going for under 5 years of experience, for above 5 years they ask complex design pattern, but you should know at least singleton and factory design pattern, singleton, factory, builder, there are so many. So what is singleton design pattern? So singleton design pattern is a design pattern that restrict the instantiation of a class to one object. That means in the context there will be only one instance of this class. Okay. So see, this is the example wherein the singleton design pattern is implemented. So there are multiple flavors of singleton design patterns. Out of that, this one is the double check singleton design pattern with synchronization. See, at line number 10 and line number 17, there are multiple checks for object. So we are checking two times that object is null, then only return the instance of a my class. And also this is synchronized, so that this can be used in multi-threaded. So even in multi-threaded application, there will be only one object. For most of the cases, for database classes, if you are creating a connection, so that we keep it as a singleton, so that database connection should be only one for throughout the application. Moving next, what is factory design pattern? See, this is very important to know that factory design pattern is based on input. So based on the input, the implementing class will create the instance. Okay, so factory will be the interface and there will be multiple implementation, and in the builder class, in the factory class will go ahead and will add a logic to create an instance based on the input. So at runtime, depending upon the input, it will create the class. And the third important design pattern is builder design pattern. Okay, so builder design pattern solve the issue with a large number of optional parameters. Suppose any of employee class has hundreds of parameters. Okay, but at the time of initialization or creating an instance, we want to initialize only 20 properties. In that scenario, we'll go for builder design pattern. Okay, so that the initialization of the object will be done by step. Okay, moving next, what is custom exception? So this comes under exception handling. Okay, so exception handling also important topic, like other topics. So custom exception we will throw for custom message. Suppose there is a call and that call is failing due to some XYZ reason, and in spite of returning the simple exception to the user, we should return a custom exception so that user will get a friendly message. Suppose you are calling and there is some error going on in your program, maybe null pointer or anything. Okay, data is not available. So in spite of returning the technical message like null pointer exception or database exception, we should wrap that exception to something generic like sorry, our database is not up, or some upgrade is going on, our system is down, please contact customer care or try after some time. These are the messages we can throw through custom exception. Moving to next. So what is the finalize method? See, finally, finalize, all these are the methods. So finalize is important. As you know, finally is used with try catch, and finally the finally method is called by the garbage collector before collecting the object that is eligible for garbage collection. Okay, so if you want to do some operations before garbage collection, then we write a finalize method like database closing operation. Most of the time we do. Okay, so that database instance should not be open, otherwise it will lead to a leakage problem. Moving next, what is Metaspace? Okay, so this is very important terminology that comes from Java 1.8. So till Java 1.7 there was a PubGen memory space. Okay, now this has been replaced with Metaspace. Okay, so that and this is auto growable in nature, so that the program will never throw out of memory error. Okay, for a PubGen error. Okay, so Metaspace is a new memory space starting from the Java 8 version. It has replaced the older PubGen memory space. The most significant difference is how it handles memory allocation, especially the native memory region grow automatically by default. That means it is not now part of a main memory. So whenever program needs more memory, it will capture the memory from the main memory, not from the heap and other areas, which was earlier the part of that, like PubGen was part of that. So it was not in uh, it was having PubGen was having very limited, and we used to define some parameters, memory parameter, PubGen space, so like 2 GB, 4 GB, 7 GB. But now Metaspace can grow up to whatever memory size of a RAM you have. What is solid principle? This is most of the time asked after design principles. Okay. What is solid? SOLID. S is for single responsibility, O is for open close, L is for list scope, I is for interface segregation, and D is dependency inversion principle. In out of 5, so list scope is most important. So most of the time interviewer is gonna ask you what is list scope substitution principle. So prepare each of the principle in details. And what is dry? Dry, do not repeat yourself. That means you should not repeat your code. If there is a repetition in code, then extract that code and refactor and write in some util classes. And the last one is case. Keep it simple. Don't make your program more complex. Try to make it more simpler. So prepare solid principle. That's important. What are the states of a life cycle of a threads? I mean thread life cycle. This is for multi-threading. So in most of the companies who work on multi-threading, they definitely gonna ask some questions on thread. So what is thread life cycle? Very basic question. So you can say that new, runnable, running, terminated, and between this there is a some state, like if you call the sleep method, it will go to block the state, and after getting notify and notify all, it will again come to running. So this is a life cycle, so you should remember, and interviewer may ask the operation what happens after that, like if we call sleep, then what will happen, if we call notify, then what will happen. And next important question is, what is the difference between sleep and wait? See, these are two difference in a column. So sleep is from thread class. Okay, thread dot, we write thread dot sleep, and we provide some time in milliseconds. Okay, how much time? So till that time your program will be halt, will program will be paused for some time, and wait will release the lock automatically the same time, and it will go into the waiting state, and other threads can execute. Yeah. And wait should always be used from the synchronized context. I mean, from the synchronized block or synchronized method only we can use wait. But sleep is we can call anywhere. And wait belongs to object class, thread block to thread class, sleep belongs to thread class. Some more important question on this: is it possible to start a thread twice? No, we cannot start thread twice. What will happen if we call the run method directly in spite of calling the start? So we can call the start run method directly, but that will not act as a thread. It will act as a normal method, and it will not create a new stack for like a thread. There will be no thread local kind of things. It will work as a normal method. What is synchronization? So synchronization is the capability to control the access of a multiple threads in any shared resources. I mean, if your code is shared by multiple resources and you don't want that modification to happen at the same time, if you want a sequential operations, and for that we use synchronization so that multiple thread cannot enter the sensitive block at the same time. For that we use synchronized method, synchronized block, and static synchronization. Okay, these are the three types of synchronization. Please prepare for in detail for each of the synchronization, like what is in the difference between synchronized method and synchronized block, and what is static synchronization. Static synchronization important because it will block whole class. So prepare in depth for each of the synchronization. So also next important question is what is the difference between runnable and callable. See, both are used to create threads, but there is a minor difference between these two. So runnable do not return anything. See, it has void method, no return value, no exception, but callable returns future object, and it can throw exception. So if you think that your program after completing may in the program may throw some exception, or if you want to throw a custom exception, then you should go for callable, otherwise use runnable. Next important question is what is the difference between cohesion and coupling. See, as the name is saying that coupling means how your class are coupled. I mean, your program should be less coupled, loosely coupled, okay, so that the dependency of one class into another class should be very less. Okay, and cohesion is your class should be highly cohesive. That means your module or your class should only perform those operations for which that is written. Okay, for suppose there is a class which is used to insert data in database. So that class should only write only the related queries for inserting database. It should not do some operation like doing a service layer task or the controller layer task. Yeah. So class should be highly cohesive and related to only particular area. So these are the differences you can go through. Next important question is what's the difference between string buffer and string builder. See, so string buffer and string builder are mutable in nature, but string is not. And talking about thread safe, see, string is a mutable, it's also thread safe. String buffer is thread safe, but string builder is not thread safe. And which is fast? String buffer is fast because it using threads. So these are the important questions. So best of luck for your upcoming interview. Thank you for watching.